Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse tells the story of Miles Morales, who is a young African-American Puerto Rican kid living in Brooklyn who is bitten by a radioactive spider and discovers that he is destined to be the next Spider-Man.
He's just a normal, typical kid who doesn't like doing homework and just kind of wants to hang out with his friends. What's cool about Miles and what I think makes him special is that Miles doesn't want to be Spider-Man.
You have money, right?
I think you're gonna be a bad teacher.
So he's got a huge pair of shoes to fill. He's got a big legacy to live up to.
We see for the first time a new Spider-Man.
One of the things that we really wanted to achieve with this movie was to make it an experience that was totally different from any other Spider-Man movie that anyone had ever seen.
We spent probably almost 2 years developing the look and also the way our characters move. We just had a philosophy that was born out of comic books. We're gonna adapt a comic book to the screen, then let's take some of the aspects of a comic book and let's turn that language into a cinematic language.
It was so cool to try to bring in a lot of the 2D elements of comic book design and bring that into this 3D world and have it visually look interesting and cool and still have it work.
There are certain moments in the movie where we drop out the computer animation and we go to these burst cards that are hand-drawn. Some of them animate, some of them are stills, but they all have varying images on them.
Photoshop is pretty much the staple for the animation industry. I don't know that there's a frame of this movie that didn't somehow get touched in some way, shape, or form.
We made a lot of custom brushes for the movie that help with the style. All of our lighting keys, effects keys, paint overs, we all do with Photoshop.
That is what allows all of our painters to maintain a consistent look, textures, matte painting. We're all using a very similar brush set that is pretty unique just to this film.
Whether it's an emotional story point or action, there's definitely a lot of color theory behind what's happening in the scene.
What does just a person standing in the sunlight look like in the world of our movie?
We'll get rid of things like depth of field or rack focus, motion blurs and things like that, and we'll do our own versions of those that are based on graphic printing techniques.
I would look at all these comic books, and the more I looked at this stuff, the closer I got to it. They have the words that appear when people get punched or when they fall down, the way you have screen tones appearing, the way the color is used in a very graphic kind of way without blur and without any kind of shading. It's laid in very flat. We look at all of these things from the comics as examples of the kinds of things we wanted to do.
Hey guys,
Okay, who are you?
I'm Gwen Stacy.
Come on! How many more spider people are there?
Save it for Comic-Con.
What's Comic-Con?
Let's go!
At the beginning of this project, all of us wanted the audience to have an experience they've never had before. We wanted to put a stake in the ground not just for this movie, but for animation and for filmmaking.
The magic of animation is that it can be anything you can dream up. There was no better medium than animation to try and make a Spider-Man movie.
We really wanted to make Miles someone you could love, somebody that you could get behind and root for. There's a real excitement in kind of breaking the mold and trying something really different than most of us have seen in big budget feature animation for the past 20 years.
Every time I see a new frame of the film and I see all the craftsmanship that goes into it from all the artists that are working on it, I'm inspired anew every day.